So it was a question that was like asked on social media and it got trending, and it was very obvious. 90% of the women said, I'd rather be in the woods with a bear.
Welcome to my channel, Outspoken Samantha. If you are new here, welcome. I appreciate you clicking on the video to watch it, and I would also love it if you would click on that subscribe button. And if you're returning, welcome back. I truly do appreciate your continued support of my channel, and I hope that you are subscribed as well. So there was this question going around the last couple of weeks all over social media asking women if they would rather be stuck in the woods with a bear or a man. And then there were men that were asked, would you rather your daughter or your wife or your girlfriend be stuck in the woods with a man or a bear? And I was actually really surprised by a lot of the answers, but I think that I was more surprised by the mindset behind so many of these answers. And while it seems like just such a really silly topic to cover, I think that there's just a lot more to it than what you might think. But before I get into this fascinating subject, I'm interested to hear what you think. Women, who would you rather be stuck in the woods with, a bear or a man? And men, who would you rather, your mom, your wife, your daughter, your sister, somebody, a woman that you love in your life, who would you rather they be stuck in the woods with, a bear or a man? And while some of you might be tempted to include your mother-in-law or ex-girlfriend in that question, let's just keep it to women that you actually care about their safety. To start off, this is the first clip that I saw of this conversation. And again, while I think my answer is probably, I thought would be more of a majority opinion, I think that I'm actually in the minority in my beliefs, but I'm going to discuss that as we go. But let's just have a look at kind of, I think, what started this whole thing.
Be stuck in a forest with a man or a bear?
Bear. Man is scary.
With a bear.
What I've heard about bears, they don't always attack you, right? Unless you with them. So maybe a bear.
Depends what man, but probably a bear.
Oh, 100% a bear, which is like terrifying to say, but
Definitely a bear. Some men are very scary out there.
a bear.
I would say a man.
So you guys let me know what you think of their responses. I thought this girl was kind of funny when she says, I'd be stuck with a bear, but they're not going to mess with you unless you mess with them, right? And I'm thinking, well, I think the same could probably be said for a man. I mean, most men, as you can see, because you interact with a lot of men throughout the day in a lot of different capacities, they pretty much leave you alone for the most part. But if you are to, say, grab this microphone from the guy that you're talking to now and smack him over the head with it, there's probably going to be an issue. Now, if he's a gentleman, he's probably not going to make a big deal of it. But again, if you are the one initiating some kind of problem, then you might expect a negative response from either a bear or a man. And when this one says, well, some men are very scary, well, yeah, so are some bears. Actually, I think a lot of bears are very scary. But let's keep going, because I have a few clips and the answers are kind of all over the place. And again, I think just demonstrate kind of a very interesting mindset that I really think probably needs to be addressed in society.
Most men are not terrible. If you were stuck in the woods, would you rather be encountered by a bear or a random man?
Bear. Don't trust men.
Take my chances with a bear.
I'm gonna be encountered by a bear.
By a bear.
They won't question what you're wearing if you got attacked by a bear.
You could run away, you could protect yourself. A man, he's gonna be like, you need to be in my space. I'm a man, why you not in my space?
Very deceitful.
A random man. A lot of weightlifting. And most men are not terrible. A lot of them are, but not all of them. Do you think it's crazy that so many women said bear instead of a person?
No, just because we're strong, it doesn't mean we don't deserve to be protected. We want to be protected by men, but we want to feel like we don't need a man to do what we need to do. All we want to know is that we feel supported by our counterparts the way we've always supported them through our society.
This woman just kind of contradicts herself. I mean, she says that just because we're strong doesn't mean we don't deserve to be protected, but we also don't want to feel like we need a man to protect us, but then we want to know that our counterparts protect us the way that we have protected them in society. I don't know what she's saying. But my question is, if you feel so secure in your answer with being stuck in the woods with a bear, why would you need anybody to protect you at all? So let's look at another one.
The reality is I would choose the bear, you would choose the bear, we would all choose the bear. Collectively, as the internet is female presenting people, we all would choose the bear. And I can't speak for everyone's reasons why they would choose the bear, but the reason I told my husband is this: because a bear doesn't hate people the same way men hate women. And if I'm going to die anyway, I would choose the dignity and death of being mauled by a bear than a scary, scary man who wants to take his time. Because the scariest of bears will never be scarier than the scariest of men. And if I'm going to die anyway, I will take the dignity and death of a natural death from a wild animal than I would take the creative torture that a man can provide.
She sounds pleasant. This woman kind of contradicts herself quite a bit because her basic argument in favor of being stuck with the bear is the assumption that if she were stuck with a man, it would automatically be a dangerous man, meaning that she doesn't really believe that there are any good men out there, or that it's not statistically possible that she would be stuck with someone who doesn't want to hurt her. But she is married and she has been having this conversation with her husband, so clearly there are good men out there which she has a daily interaction with. But because she used the phrase feminine presenting at the beginning of her rant, you can already tell that she has very liberal views, which means she probably has very strong opinions about the patriarchy and toxic masculinity, which makes me wonder what this man has to go through in being married to her. And my question to him would be, who would you rather be stuck in the woods with, the bear or your wife? So this is one where the dad is asked by his wife if he would rather have his daughter stuck in the woods with a bear or a man.
Would you rather a daughter be stuck in the woods with a man or a bear?
A man.
A man?
Yeah, me.
No, you don't count. It can't be you.
Who's the man then?
We know nothing about the man.
Then how do you know it's not me?
No. Okay, so all we know is that it's not you.
What? Do you know the bear?
No, we know nothing about the bear or the man.
I would say a bear.
A bear?
Yeah.
Why?
Tons of reasons. Like, first off, when you turn the news on, do you hear about a bear attacking a baby, or do you hear about a man attacking somebody? Probably a man attacking somebody, not a bear. Second off, have you ever seen a mama bear take care of her cubs? She saw a little cub crawling around, even if it's not hers. Mama bear just take care of everything there.
So I love how she makes the argument that we don't know anything about the man, but you also have to acknowledge that you don't know anything about the bear either. Is it a mama bear with her cubs? Is it a hungry bear that just came out of hibernation? Is it a bear on the hunt during dinner time? Is it a bear that just got spooked by something and is already on edge? And it's funny to me that he uses as a reference all of the news stories that you hear about men attacking women and children, or whatever the scenario may be, which is always tragic to hear, and that you don't hear all of these stories of bears attacking women, children, etc., which is true, but statistically it's just not as common of an occurrence because most of us are not coming across bears in our lives.
The saddest part about the whole man versus bear conversation is that men still don't get it. They still don't get it. I just watched a video of a guy with some AI graphics of bears in the forest, and he's going, wow, this bear in the forest, the likelihood of him attacking a woman. Do men know when to sit down? It's so painful to watch as a woman asks her own husband, would you rather choose a man or a bear in the forest? And for him to say very calmly that he would choose a bear, to have no discussion whatsoever, and then to even make jokes about it afterwards. 1 in 6 women are assaulted in their lifetime. A feeling that a man will never understand.
So I just wanted to stop it right there for a second as she is citing this statistic of 1 in 6 women are assaulted in their lifetime. And obviously that is horrifying and something that we need to address on a cultural level. But to say that men will never understand is actually kind of a really gross thing to say. And it shows a lot of bias in her answer by saying something like that, because obviously men deal with assault and abuse from women all the time, and it's something that goes massively underreported. And honestly, in my opinion, it's women like this who truly don't even think that it happens that are probably a large reason why men keep it to themselves, because we live in a society that says women are always the victim and it's impossible for men to be a victim of anything.
So if you're a man out there who doesn't understand that this isn't about bears attacking women in the forest, this isn't about your National Geographic studies about bears because you watched a lot of it on TV. It's not your expertise on how bears act. It's about how men act towards women. It's about how women are being assaulted by men. It's how women would rather choose being with a bear than being tortured by a man.
And to me, this is just another demonstration of this poisonous attitude towards men, because it's not even fathomable to anybody that has answered this question that they could be stuck with someone who would not torture or harm them. The idea is that if I'm going to be stuck with a man, I will be in danger and he will assault or murder me. And I appreciate this next clip, but I will just read the captions as she's talking because she has a song over it and I don't want to get a copyright ding on the video. She says, man or bear? The question is posed wrong in the very beginning. And I'm not sure who came up with that question, but it's just posed weird. It's almost posed just to tick off men. I realize somebody was probably trying to make a point with it, but it's coming from an unhealthy place. There's so many men on this app that's like, well, I would be okay with a random woman because I'm good. And they have a very fair point, because there's many men specifically that I know that if I ran across in the woods, I would be just fine with, because they're loving and protective and big brotherly and all of that. And props to them. There's a lot of women on here that are just in an unhealthy mindset though. So they jump on the bandwagon and say all men are awful. All men are not awful. Can we stop generalizing? Only the awful men are awful. And I appreciate her saying that, and even though I was the one talking. And I appreciate her standing up and saying, you know, there are a lot of men that we come across every single day that pose absolutely no threat to us whatsoever. The vast majority of our interactions with men are healthy and safe and perfectly fine. So it is this really unhealthy mindset of women to just jump to this assumption that if there's a man involved, then it is automatically an unsafe situation. And this guy's responding to a comment on his video. It says, as a gay man, I have felt unsafe around men. I have heard and seen men abuse women in diabolical ways. They're entirely safer with the bear. So he is responding to that comment.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep it a buck with you. This comment is hot garbage. Just because you have the capacity to cause more harm does not make you more dangerous. We agree on the fact that a man can be far more diabolical, malicious, and vile in the harm that they can cause to a woman than a bear can. What I disagree with is saying that you're safer around a bear than a man. You have a man, you have a bear. Only one of those things is going to be a consistent danger to your life, and it is not going to be the man. You know, we can talk about women's safety without roping in inflammatory arguments and attempts to demonize men, right? It serves no purpose. It's moronic, dehumanizing, and flat out wrong. You should already be questioning your line of logic when you are comparing a human being to a wild animal.
Exactly. I mean, nobody wants to keep women from having conversations about their safety. I just don't understand why we constantly have to jump to this idea that all men are oppressive, all men are dangerous, or that we have to have these conversations that include the worst type of men in order to address those things. And if women really wanted to have a productive conversation about their safety, they would be willing to reevaluate who it is that they are voting for, because as of right now, a lot of women are voting Democrat, which means they are voting for people that are putting these bail reform policies in place, putting these soft on crime policies in place, which means the men that are actually a danger to them are allowed to commit repeat violent offenses, being let back onto the street to reoffend, and their target is women. I mean, I cannot count the number of stories that I have seen recently of women being assaulted and or murdered by someone with a massive criminal record who should be behind bars but is not, because, again, most of what they're doing has been decriminalized by the very people that they are putting into office. Back to the topic at hand as to why all of these women suddenly feel safer with a bear, and they've, pointed to news stories, pointed to the dangers that some men pose towards women. And yes, of course, there are a lot of crappy men out there, but what generally doesn't make the news and does not go viral on social media are the men every day who do things that demonstrate their respect for women, like holding the door or letting you get off the elevator first, or the ones who do happen to step in between thugs and women when they're out. Men are the protectors of society. They are known as the protectors of society. And I would argue that a lot of women are safer just by being in the presence of men, because a criminal or someone that wants to attack you is less likely to do so if there are men around, whereas a lot of things happen to women when they are by themselves and there are no men around to protect them. The men that want to hurt you are not going to go to a place or get into a situation where there are men around that are going to step in and likely pummel him for trying anything. And obviously, we're never going to know how many dangerous situations are prevented just because you have men around you, because again, those are not the things that make the headlines. Again, I know this seems like such a silly topic, and in a lot of ways it is, but it also just demonstrates more of this poisonous mindset than anything, because in truth, if any of these women were alone with a bear, the first person they'd wish were by their side to save them would be their husband, their father, their brother, or any other man in their life that they know would protect them, because I guarantee they know at least one or two and probably a handful of them. What's also wild is all of these women saying that they would feel safer with a bear are the same ones to create TikToks wondering why they're alone and can't find a man. I mean, logically, if your brain automatically goes to all men being psychopathic, hostile predators, then you'll be a lot better off without one, right? But I would love to hear all of your thoughts on this in the comments below. I'm sure that this would create a very interesting conversation, because a lot of the responses, again, were just not what I was expecting. Please be sure to hit that like button. Make sure that you are subscribed. I would love your help in growing this channel. Please share this video with anybody that you think might find this subject interesting. Keep it real, guys, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.